Welcome to Feed Your Lion. I'm Dr. L.I.O.N, and I'm here to aid you in the mastery of total health, spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, and financial. So prepare to have your wellness tank filled up with this podcast. Welcome to another episode of Feed Your Lion. Today's special guest, Tina Hicks. She's going to take us into the world of meditation. Tina, thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
So start off, I always have everybody start off, kind of tell about a little bit your background, where you hail from, how you got into the health side in general, kind of what you're doing now, that kind of thing.
Well, I am born and raised in Ashland, Kentucky for 55 years. I was only away from here for 5. I moved to Atlanta after I graduated for a brief time and then moved back. And my entire background basically is IT of 17 years in sales. So those are the two things that I've done. When I was 28, my mother and I, so my first dive into the wellness space was Mom and I drove to Louisville and we got our Reiki attunements. That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
So it was sometimes not well accepted in the area that we live in. People don't understand those types of things. So Mom and I just both loved wellness. We loved health. We loved holistic. Didn't always practice that, for a lot of years. But so that's how I kind of got started into go in that direction. And then over the years, I've just met a lot of people. I've had a lot of wonderful people that have crossed my path, that have taught me a lot of things. And then there was just a life moment in 2020 that took me on a deep dive into meditation.
Okay. So as far as switching from IT and sales, because now you're working, your full-time job is in community wellness stuff. So how did you make that transition over to that?
I don't have any idea how it happened. I'll be brutally honest with you. It just, apparently it was supposed to happen. I believe everything is divinely guided. So I met the HR director for this company and in October of 2020 last year, and that's kind of where that transition started. It is a sales role, so it's not outside of my wheelhouse.
Sure.
So
tell a little bit first, what are you doing now, in that current position?
So right now we provide remote patient monitoring for chronically ill patients. We provide them devices, and the devices connect to a mobile app, and we track their critical vital signs and provide virtual nursing care remotely for the patients.
And I think that's just cool anyways, because, everything's going to AI, mobile, virtual. Tech is king at this point. You know what I mean? It's kind of taken over for a lot of things. And, hospital costs are way up. People want to do everything they can to avoid being in the hospital. Insurance will refuse to pay certain things. You have to meet certain criteria. So, what your company does is really cool anyways, because you're helping people stay out of the hospital. You're checking their vitals daily remotely. They can do it from home. They can have a nurse check in with them. It's just a cool space, and I think that stuff is going to continue to grow anyways. But so you did that. Now in Atlanta, what did you do for work for the 5 years you were there?
When I was in Atlanta, I worked for a general contractor down there. I did clerical work.
Okay.
In that space for a while. And my husband at the time, which is my kid's dad, he worked for the same general contractor.
Gotcha.
My dad lived in Atlanta.
Okay.
That's why I ended up in Atlanta.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I just think it's interesting, a lot of people from this area, they may go for a while, but a lot of them tend to come back for so it's just kind of, I don't know. What's the drawl of Kentucky? I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I've been trying to get back out of here for the past 15 years. So I love my home, but I would love to relocate.
Yeah.
I would like to go to the Carolinas or Georgia or Florida, that direction.
Okay. The warmer climates?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So Reiki, back in what year was that?
I was 28.
So you said what, 55? So 27 years ago. Did you know any other? I didn't know, like when I was younger, I don't think I knew anybody
So there
in
was
that.
a reflexologist down in downtown Russell.
Okay.
His name was Jesse Bryant.
Okay.
My mom and I went to Jesse. Jesse was amazing. The man could diagnose you with your feet. Just an amazing human being.
Yeah.
He was the one who introduced my mom and I to,
Really?
yeah, to
To the Reiki?
even the idea of Reiki and how it works.
Okay. Did you ever did you do Reiki training at all?
Yes.
Oh, you did? I didn't know that. Talk about that a little bit, because some people might not be familiar with Reiki. So, like, explain that concept a little
So
bit.
there was a lady in Louisville, Kentucky. Her name was Emily Filiatro. I actually tried to locate her about 10 years ago, but through social media.
Yeah.
But I recently found out that she passed away. So I worked with her and trained with her for about a year, and started practicing on people that I knew. Started doing Reiki treatments and really working in the healing space there, and it's not well received in the area that we live in. So my mom and I both just kind of backed away from it for a lot of years.
So, what is the point of it? Like, what are you trying to accomplish when you do Reiki treatments on people?
Well, we all have the ability to heal.
Mm-hmm.
We all do. And so it's just being able to utilize our energy in
Mm-hmm.
order to heal our own bodies.
Like making your energy flow better, basically.
Yep, that's all it is.
And Reiki is hands off. You're not like touching people.
Nope.
You're just working around them because the energy is out from them a bit. I mean,
Correct.
you don't have to like have hands on somebody to affect that.
Right.
Yeah. And so you're using more like your intention with that,
Mhm.
like it, which is, I think that's hard for some people. Like, what would you like say with some like people that have like a hard time like grasping that concept? Because like for me, I know energy is a real thing, right? I mean, we are made up of way more energy than matter. Way more. Like, I mean, only like, less than 0.1 of us is actually matter. It's like, it's an energy thing that we're made up for. So scientifically, I know that is a thing. But like, do you have a way that's better than me of explaining like why like that's a thing?
One thing that I did tell a friend of mine, because one of the first things that I learned from Emily was a pain drain.
Mm-hmm.
And there's an old saying, if I could just take your pain away, I would. What if I told you we can?
Yeah.
So that's another thing. So sometimes you just need a little bit of help and assistance to allow the energy to flow through
Mm-hmm.
you. And the energy blockages
Mm-hmm.
cause a lot of illnesses.
Yeah.
That's where a lot of the illness and the congestion comes from, is from those energy blockages. And that is still yet. I mean, even when you break it down in its simplest terms, it's hard for people to grasp and understand, because people in the United States especially are really acclimated to, I'm going to go to my doctor, I'm going to get a prescription, I'm going to take this pill, and then I'm going to get better. But I believe that God gifted us with everything we need to heal our bodies.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I mean, I also think even in this region or human nature in general, I think we're very like focused on what can we see. Like we have a hard time with like understanding things that we don't see with our own like, or sensation wise. Like if we can't touch it or see it or feel it, then how can that be real? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can't see air, but we're breathing it, right? I mean, I don't know. I think we have problems like as a society with like accepting things that are beyond the immediate, like.
Correct. People call it woo woo, and they do, and they can't grasp that there is a lot of unseen forces around us, within us,
Yeah.
especially within us, that are very powerful,
Mm-hmm.
extremely powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay. So, what about when was the first time you meditated? Like, do you remember?
I meditated off and on because I've had friends throughout the years that meditated. So I would try it out, but I didn't really understand it.
Yeah.
So I would sit down to meditate with somebody or by myself, and I was like, "Ah, there's no way I can clear all this out of my head."
Yeah.
But I didn't understand that that's not the point.
Yeah.
That's really not the point of meditation. You're not going to be able to clear all your thoughts out of your head. It's impossible.
Yeah.
So I started with a lot of guided meditation, and then a friend of mine in 2020 helped me immensely really take a deep dive and understand more about the practice. So in 2019, my grandson came to live with me. He's now 11. So I have had a new child. My mother fell and broke her hip in the kitchen, and COVID hit all at the same time.
All those life things at once.
All those
That's how
things,
it goes, right?
everything at one time.
Mm-hmm.
So mom was on hospice at the house. So I went through that process with her.
Mm-hmm.
And so after she transitioned, for the first time in my life, I had insomnia.
Mm.
I could not close my eyes. We were just locked down into the house, me and Christian, that she just passed away in.
Yeah.
The last place I wanted to be was inside the house.
Right.
So I was melting down on all levels. There was all the grief and the emotional roller coaster of all that happening, and lockdown all at one time. Everything was just caving in. So I was very open and sharing my grief and my experience on social media.
Mm-hmm.
So a friend of mine, Tony Lucero, reached out to me, and he had started, and during that emotional roller coaster in time for everybody, he had started a live meditation online on Zoom. So he invited me to, to hop on and participate. Within 7 days, I slept all night. So when that happened, I'm like, okay, there's something here. There's really, truly something here. So I kept taking deep dives, and I started really diving into, he had gone to a week-long retreat in Peru for Joe Dispenza retreat. And so there was just a lot of things that I was learning from him over that time period. We were locked down. I had nothing else to do but meditate. I was meditating an hour in the morning and an hour at night, 7 days a week. And it just continued until life started to get a little bit busier at the end of the year. And then I did all types of meditation. There's mindfulness meditation, there's healing meditations, and the biggest point that I like to make with people is there's no right or wrong. It's your practice.
Mm-hmm.
It's what you make of it.
Yeah.
And it's what you need at that time in your life. And I truly believe that whatever we're seeking, it will find us. And it will find us in those moments. So I just kept diving deeper and diving deeper and diving deeper. And then everything started coming together when I started practicing a little bit different. So now I do a Christian meditation, and I call it In His Presence, because that's what we are sitting in His presence. And for me, surrender is the deepest form of worship.
Mm-hmm.
So if we really want to do what the Bible talks about, which is developing a relationship with Him on the deepest level that we can do that, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And so for me, prayer is when I'm petitioning and I'm talking to God, and I'm just constantly talking to God throughout the day. I don't just sit down and say a big flowery prayer and I'm done. I have an ongoing open conversation.
Yeah.
So meditation is when God pours into us.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we're not in stillness, that's where the magic happens.
Yeah.
That's where the magic absolutely happened in my life. So when you're sitting in stillness and you surrender, because we're supposed to give our burdens over.
Mm-hmm.
We're supposed to do that. Nobody in church teaches anybody how to do that.
Yeah.
They say, just come up and leave it at the altar. Come up here and leave it at the altar.
But what does that mean? Yeah.
How do I do that?
Yeah.
And that happened to me too, because I kept going to the altar and I kept taking things and this and that and life issues. And then 2 weeks later, 6 months later, I'm like, I still have it.
Yeah.
What's not what's not being fixed. So I believe we're saved in an instant, but we're transformed one day at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's true, then if we don't sit in stillness and work on ourselves and allow God to pour into us and transform us and reveal to us and heal us, then we're missing the boat. We're not.
So tell me what it looks like when you do like your meditation. Like how does that work? I mean, are you just sitting there and as an open channel? Like how actually do you do your meditation?
So my meditation, I don't have to sit cross-legged in Indian
Yeah.
style on the floor and do all this stuff. I just sit. I like to sit upright because for the energy to flow, I believe that's just the best place to start. I mean, you eventually will get into walking meditation, and you can do things throughout the day, to keep yourself centered. But I just sit up in bed. Normally, it's first thing in the morning. I sit up in bed, and I just talk to God, and I just, number one, acknowledge His presence. Welcome Him into the space with me right now.
Mm-hmm.
I welcome Jesus and the Holy Spirit into the space with me, and I acknowledge their presence, because a lot of times we think that God is apart from us, but He's not. He's always there. We just are too busy to acknowledge it.
Mm-hmm.
So I acknowledge His presence, welcome Him in, and then I listen to music. There's thousands of different, tracks out there to meditate with. So I listen to music, and then at first I verbally walked myself through it, and then now I don't even have to. It's automatic. So, the first thing I do is really start to relax, focus on my breath, and then after I do that, I start visualizing the burden here, whatever it is that I need to get rid of, because He can't pour into me if I don't create space. There's just no way. There's nowhere for Him to put anything new and wonderful and bless me if I'm holding on to everything. So, what do I need to let go of right now? And I visualize it in my hands. And I literally visualize me handing it into Jesus' hands. And then just sit with that for a while, meditate on that for a while. And then, I go back to visualization, and I visualize God placing His hands on my head, and He's blessing me. And it's just pouring into me whatever I need at that moment. And so that's my time to receive. And then I just visualize what it is that how I want Him to transform me. Is it my health? What is it in my life? Do I need to forgive somebody? Do I need to make amends with somebody? Do I need to work on a habit in my life that needs to go? And, then I just go back to that, and then I just close the meditation really with heart and mind coherence, just making that connection with heart and mind.
And you're doing that every morning?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what difference, I know you talked about the insomnia earlier, but have you noticed any other differences in your life doing that now since COVID?
I'm less reactive.
Yeah.
The biggest thing for me is I see things differently, because, if you're, and I was never in the military. You were. So I'm just going to
I'm not in the military. I
You
wasn't.
never was?
No.
Oh, I thought you had been years ago. Okay.
No.
So I look at it as if I'm in battle, because we're in battle every day.
Yeah.
So if I'm in battle, the only thing I can see is what's in front of me.
Yeah.
And look over my shoulder. That's the only line of sight I have. But the guy in the chopper, he can see everything.
Yeah.
So it's just taking the mind out of the body, which terrifies a lot of people when you say stuff like that. But it's taking the mind out of the body so you can see everything around you. So it gives you a perspective that you will never get anywhere else.
Yeah. Why do you think people are scared of that? Why do you think people are scared to let go? I mean, is it just a control thing? Is it like a fear of the unknown? What do you think it is?
All of that.
Yeah.
It really is all of that. And then where we live in this area,
Yeah.
there's a...
We're in Appalachia.
Yeah, you're in Appalachia. So it's been a struggle to be very transparent until the last 4 years for me about my belief systems and what I believe in, because in the traditional Christian community, that meditation is not well received.
Well, Jocelyn really struggles with that too. And I mean, like, foundationally, like, she has Christian viewpoints, but, like, she's very much into the Native American, like, spirit animals, nature, connecting to God through nature. And I don't know. I mean, I grew up in such a conservative way, and I came with a lot of, like, boxed ideals of religion, but I am definitely in my adult life not like that. Like, people have so many ways to God. God is not a one size fits all. I mean, you think about, like, people born in different areas, different cultures, different communities, different upbringings. Like, I mean, fundamentally, we're all the same, right, at our base. Like, and we fundamentally all have God within us. Like, so, there's different ways to, like, experience God, and I think we need to be a little less judgmental and a little more, like, listening, listening quietly and taking in. And it doesn't mean, like, what's right for somebody might not be right for somebody else, but, like, I don't know. I think we need to be a little bit more. We're so quick to,
Yeah. Well, I believe that science proves God.
yeah,
I mean, I believe if you truly understand
Yeah.
science, that it proves God.
yeah,
So, but it's really been kind of a struggle for me, but it's not anymore. And we were doing a women's group every Tuesday night at my church, and a friend of mine and I would have a lot of deep conversations about all these topics.
yeah,
And that really helped me a lot too, as well, because I believe in God. I have a relationship with Jesus.
yeah,
I consider myself a Christian.
Yeah.
That's what I truly believe.
yeah,
But at the same time, I believe that, okay, this is what I always say to people. If prayer is a communication tool, meditation is a communication tool.
yeah,
The Bible talks about meditation. But a lot of people say that meditation is demonic, it's Hindu, it's this or it's that, and you can't be a Christian and you can't meditate. But you can, because it's the intention.
mm-hmm,
So whatever my intention is, that's what I'm going to receive out of that meditation.
yeah,
So if meditation is considered Hindu and pagan and this and that, what about all of the different religions and belief systems that use prayer? Does that make prayer demonic? No,
yeah,
it doesn't make it demonic.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's an ignorance thing. I think people fear things they don't understand or haven't, like, or that's different than the way they do it. And it's just,
Yep.
I don't know. Like, I don't know why. And maybe meditation's not for you, and that's okay. But, like, I think there's a lot of good, and scientifically speaking, study after study after study shows benefits of meditation. I mean, health benefits, like
Yes.
mental health benefits, physical health benefits. I mean, there's a whole, I could pull up 1,000 studies with meditation and benefits received.
Increases
So,
DHEA, reduces cortisol. I
yes.
mean,
Yeah, a whole
huge
host of things.
mental health. That was another big benefit for me, because the grief and depression and everything that I was going through with the life changes that I was just recently experiencing at that
Yeah.
time, it gave me clarity. It gave me peace.
Yeah. Now, when you said you started off and you were mentioning, like, some different forms of meditation, speak on that for, like, just a minute, like, the different types of meditation there are, and, like, what you've tried out before, and, like, what didn't work for you out of it. I know that can be a whole can of worms, but I kind of want to,
Yeah. Mindfulness meditation was really what I was gravitated towards, because if we can't be present, then I knew that was a focus for me, and that's what I needed to work on, because I was always looking back there and I was always worried about what's next. So mindfulness is kind of what I gravitated towards. But until I met somebody who taught me that you can start with any type of meditation, mindfulness, healing meditation, restorative meditation. There's all kinds of different terms, and I don't think they're any different from each other.
yeah.
I think it's just the intention, because the process is still the same.
Now, you too mentioned briefly, and like I've heard other like people discussing meditation where there's different like there's an induction phase kind of thing where you're kind of more relaxed, focus on your breathing. There's like phase coming out of it phase. Like, how would you recommend somebody like starting out? Like, should they do like one thing at a time? Like, how do you recommend they start? Like, if they've never meditated before.
Pick a guided meditation.
Okay.
Let a voice guide you through it, because we're chasing squirrels.
Yeah.
So being able to just sit down and follow a plan of meditation without somebody guiding you. So I truly believe guided meditation was my saving grace. I mean,
Yeah.
that's really what helped me the most.
Yeah.
Allow a voice to take you from one step to the next.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and for me, who's like got a million thoughts racing through my head all the time, I'm trying to get a lot better at it. I'm better than I was, but I'm still like, I don't meditate for more than like 15, 20 minutes. But like, it's, the thoughts learning to be like, okay, I had the thought and like let it go and just kind of returning back to base. Like, that's kind of, I think that is the biggest takeaway for me, because at first I thought that was kind of wrong. And then it was like, okay, no, that's a part of it. You're going to have those thoughts. It's okay. You acknowledge it and move on. Like, go back to the center type of thing.
That's all you have to do is just, because there's always going to be thoughts in your head. So I always tell people when I'm working with them is just acknowledge the thought and watch it float away.
Let it go. Yeah. So I want to talk real quick. You're launching a YouTube on meditation and doing your form of meditation. Are you going to be guiding it? Is that what you're going to do?
Yes. So I'm going to be educating people on my style of meditation, how I got there,
Yeah.
what the process was. And it's not just my YouTube channel is not just meditation.
Okay.
I've got 4 different topics, which are the 4 topics that I'm passionate about,
Okay.
which is, of course, meditation,
Okay.
metal music. Don't they go well together?
Tina is a rocker outer. She is a mosh pit girl. You would never, when you see her on this podcast on the YouTube, you're going to be like, really? No, this woman is a mosh pitter, like right down in the center of the heavy metal.
Yes, and everybody says, but you look like Taylor Swift. No, I don't listen to that. Somebody tells, I had a guy tell me
What's
the
your
other day,
favorite band?
Slipknot.
Okay, see, there you
Yeah.
go. Okay.
Yep.
So metal, meditation.
Meditation, metal music, healing, and health.
It's hilarious.
So,
I love it. That's like so random like me. I love it.
yes, yeah. So, and you hear people all the time, well, you can't be this and do that, or you can't be this and believe that. You can't.
I get that all the time.
Why can't you?
Yes.
You can.
I know. People are like, you're so random. How do you do? I'm like, because I like different things.
Yep.
I'm allowed to jump into the rabbit hole with whatever I want to jump into the rabbit hole with. That's why we're unique. Everybody's unique. Everybody has something to offer. You're going to have like a very unique base who love all that stuff, and they're going to be like, this is awesome, And for those who don't, who cares? If it's not your cup of tea, it's not your cup of tea, right? Like,
Exactly. I mean, I'm walking proof that you can go to 4-day heavy metal festivals, get in the middle of the chaos, and then you can meditate at the morning before you go to the festival.
Absolutely.
I mean, you don't have to be this Zen person all the time to meditate.
Yes.
You can be high strung and intense.
ADHD, because that's a word everybody likes to throw around. ADHD.
Yeah.
So you can do that so much. I'm making fun of that a little bit, but just
It's okay.
we won't go down that rabbit hole. I need to have a podcast about that. But anyways, all right. So I got off topic there. What else do you want to talk about about meditation, or about like the forms, or like giving people like starting out, like anything you want to say to anybody about that?
Well, just start. I have people all the time, they'll message me and say, I would love to meditate, but I don't have an hour a day. Well, you don't have to have an hour a day.
Yeah.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
Sit still and shut this and put your phone down for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Sit. Start there. And if that's all you can do right now, and it's a daily practice, it's like building muscle. If you don't consistently do it, you're never going to see any results from it.
Tina also was like a pretty hardcore lifter too. You didn't tell that.
I did not.
She used to do like the little bit of bodybuild thing too.
Hobbyist. Yeah, I started out, so that whole thing is a funny story. So I never worked out in my entire life, ever. I mean, I might have gone to an aerobics class or did a few things here and there, but I had a spine fusion in 2000 and a spine fusion in 2004. So I got 4 levels, 2 here, 2 there, plated, caged, all that. So I'd never lifted or anything. So then my second surgery was my low back. That was 2004. And then I got invited to go to CrossFit by my crazy friend. And so she sent me a text. She said, I just went to CrossFit Thunder in Huntington, and you've got to come. And I didn't even know what it was. And I Googled it, and I said, are you nuts? Like, I just watched a video. Like, I can't do any of that stuff. And she was like, oh, yeah, you can. You just go. Just show up. So my first day, I'm like, oh, my gosh. Like, I can't do this. I literally cried after the first session because I felt like, oh, there's no way I can do that. Then when I got home, I got mad. And then when I got mad, I went back. And it was the coolest experience of my life. I was like an adaptive athlete. Like, I couldn't do anything, nothing, when I first started. I think it took me at least over a year to be able to pull 200 pounds off the floor. And I started out, I had foot drop. A lot in this from the residual,
from the surgery.
Yeah, from the surgeries.
Yeah.
My first box jump was a little tiny wooden piece of something, and I'm like, I was terrified to try to jump on anything. So I jumped on that, and then I got up to about waist height. But it took a long time.
But you started.
I started.
That's what people get intimidated. Like what you said right there is so valuable though, because people get intimidated by anything. They have this like, oh, I really want to do this, but they're so like they let all these fears like stop them, and it's like just do the littlest thing. And it's amazing how after a year, 2 years, like the changes that you make from that day one, like just by showing up.
I mean, the first day that they said, well, we're gonna do handstands against the wall, I'm like, and I took gymnastics as a kid, and I did cartwheels, and I did all the stuff, and I would start to run at the wall, and I'd just go back. And I mean, it was like, it took me, I bet you, 20 minutes to just get the nerve to just kick up against the wall, upside down.
Awesome.
Yeah. So then I went from there to bodybuilding style workouts.
Yeah.
And I did that for a long time. And then that was BC, before child. That's what I tell people. So I'm just
BC, before child.
I'm just now starting to get back into it.
So, okay. So if they want to find your YouTube channel, is it going to be under your name, or is it going to be, do you have a title for your channel?
I have an amazing title for my channel.
What is it? What is it? What is it? I have to hear it.
So it's actually a web address.
Okay.
It's unicorngrandmom.com.
Unicorngrandmom.com.
Yes. Absolutely.
Love it. And they can find all they want about meditation, mental wellness, and what was the fourth thing?
Health.
Health.
Yep.
Healthy and wellness.
Yep.
Okay.
Healing and health.
Healing and health. Okay. I love it so much. Well, as we start to wind her down, anything else that you want to say or that we didn't cover? They know how to find you. And, you know, I think too, just like I want to just summarize that part about like you can do meditation in any style, in any form you want. You're going to see some benefits. And
100.
You can also be a Christian and meditate.
Yes.
You can, which, you know, was a barrier for you in this area. I don't think that's a barrier as much wider net, but in Appalachia we have a lot of backwards misconceptions sometimes, I think, but
Yeah, we certainly do.
Yeah.
So I just encourage everybody that if you want to change the world around you, it starts here.
in your heart.
and
spirit.
and to be able to do that, you got to be able to sit with yourself.
Yeah.
If you can't sit with yourself,
Who else is going to want to?
nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody. It all starts with you.
Yeah.
So that we're just the ripple effect, and just
People,
get started.
it's 100%, and people in the world too, like all this craziness, all stuff. They're like, I can change it. Wait, it starts with you, and it starts in your own house. Then it starts in your community, and those things grow. Like that's how it works.
Yep.
So, Tina, I appreciate you so very much.
Thanks for having me.
Tina just came and rocked out with me at my 40th jungle birthday party the other night. We had a great time.
And you notice my video of me doing the game is the only one that doesn't exist because nobody recorded it.
We had some very interesting games involving eating bananas,
We did.
blindfolded. But anyways, it was jungle themed. Let's just leave it there. You missed the karaoke at the end, though.
I know.
We were all karaokeing at the end. That was
Yeah.
something else. Anyways, all right. Well, as always, we will end with our quote, and this is one that Tina told me, and I love it. The only people who see the whole picture are the ones who step out of the frame, and that's Salman Rushdie. And thank you again.
You're welcome.
We'll see y'all the next time.